Hi, this is Ambi from Board Game Blitz, and today I'm going to be participating in the Midyear Board Game Tag by Rolling Reggie. So I got tagged, actually, our podcast, Board Game Blitz, got tagged by Rolling Reggie, who is a YouTuber, and he creates these mid-year board game questions to talk about board games partway through the year. And so he tags people to answer the questions, and our podcast got tagged, and I just finished recording the podcast episode about that, so that is already out by the time you see this video. But I also wanted to do a video version in case you don't listen to the podcast or you want to see some B-roll and stuff. So yeah, that's what this is. I'm using a new microphone. This is the microphone I use for the podcast currently, and I figured I don't need the shotgun mic for like just talking heads where I don't need to use my hands. I can just use a hand microphone. But let's get on to the questions. There is one question that it will be different than on the podcast. It's the bonus question at the end. So you can go skip to that if you've already listened to the podcast. And also, if you want to hear the bonus question for the podcast, listen to the podcast. And also my co-host Crystal, you can hear all of her answers on the podcast because you won't hear that here. But let's go to the questions. And for these questions, they don't necessarily have to be games that were released in 2025. It's just according to what you've played in 2025 and your personal experiences. So the first question is, what is your favorite game so far this year? And this does not have to be new to me game. And it is not new to me because I actually played it in, I think, December of last year, but this is Bomb Busters. I'm looking at my phone right now because I have BG Stats on here and I track all of my plays on BG Stats app. I have 206 plays so far of 70 different games, and Bomb Busters is my favorite. I really like Bomb Busters. It's a cooperative deduction limited communication game. I like describing it as like a cooperative Go Fish mechanism, but it has a feel of Hanabi if you've played that. It's cooperative deduction. You have a hand of numbered cards, tiles that no one else can see, and you're putting them in order, and you're trying to match up numbers with other people. So you ask like, oh, is this card that you have a 2? And if it is, then you can match it and you cut the wire, and you're trying to cut all the wires and not the bomb. And there's special powers that you can use, and you can give hints on one of your tiles at the beginning of the game. Also, if you get it wrong, you lose a life, but they also get to tell you what that tile was. So you're using like the ordering plus what people have asked and like what people have gotten wrong and stuff, because you can only ask if you have the tile yourself. So you're using all this stuff to deduce what other people have and trying to cut all the wires and not the red one. And it's also campaign. There's 66 missions, and I think we've played through 32 of them or something, or 33. We've played through 32 of them, so we're on mission 33 the next time we play. And each mission has different new rules added and like different, it's modular kind of. And so we have different things that happen. I mean, I can't tell you all it because that would be spoiling, but I've been enjoying, not all the missions are great, but I've been enjoying all of them, and I like seeing how different rules can like change the feel of the deduction a lot. So yeah, Bomb Busters is my favorite game so far of 2025. The second question is, what is your most played game so far? And that is also Bomb Busters for me. I'm not going to describe the game again, but I have 43 plays of Bomb Busters. The next highest is Monikers at 12 plays. So yes, lots of plays of Bomb Busters. We always play multiple games. A lot of times at game night, we'll have a Bomb Busters game night. So we'll play through like 5 or 6 games in one sitting, and that's our game night. So yeah, I like Bomb Busters. It's been fun going through the missions, and it's cool because like there's new missions and you do new things, so it doesn't get old. All right, question 3 is, what was your biggest surprise? For me, that is Mookie Island. This is a children's game. I got this as a review copy from Board Games USA, and I have a video about it, overview video, if you want to go check that out, if you want to hear more about it. But this is a 2-player children's game, and what surprised me is that it actually felt like a strategic like take, that like there were tense moments that felt like a 2-player game that I would play with adults, but it's for playing with kids. So it has like very simple rules. You're just picking a card to add to your pile, and it's set collection. The cards are double-sided, so you get to pick which side you use, and there's the spider cards that you can add to the other people's pile, and you're trying to like get the most of sets, and they're worth different points. And so you're like, okay, do I want to take that so the other person can't get it because you want to get it, or like which ones do you want to go for? And so there was a lot of going for things to block the opponent, or like trying to think whether you want to block them or like get something good for you. And so I was surprised that it felt like an actual tense 2-player game, even though it was just a children's game. So yeah, Mookie Island is a good children's game, I think. Number 4 is, what game's production or art has impressed you the most? For me, this is production, The Lord of the Rings Fate of the Fellowship. I actually just played a demo copy of this that my friend brought over. She works for Z-Man, and so I got to see the production, and And that was like my favorite part of it. I talked about this before on monthly recap and also on the podcast, but the game is Pandemic Lord of the Rings. It's designed by Matt Leacock and it's Lord of the Rings themed, but it has kind of a base Pandemic system, but like a lot more stuff that makes it feel less like Pandemic and more like Lord of the Rings. But I really liked the components. I didn't like the game as much, but the components were really cool. It had this big Eye of Sauron Barad-dûr dice tower because it has dice that you're rolling for attacking. It has these little meeples, miniature meeples for the armies. Like for the orcs, it has little red ones that have, I think they had like horned orc shape. And then for the elven dwarves people, like on the good people team, it had different colored but little miniatures and they were shaped differently than the orc ones. They had like little swords and shields. They were really cute. And then it also had Nazgul minis that have like the clear plastic bases and a stick coming up. And so the Nazgul are kind of levitating or like they're flying up above everyone else. Yeah, so I liked all of that. That looked really cool. So yeah, that was my best production of the year so far. Number 5 is what has been your most reliable introductory board game? So I looked at my stats and I haven't played games with anyone who's new to the hobby this year. I played with my niece. Like I read a story to my niece, so that kind of counts. My first adventure, Finding the Dragon, which I just talked about last week in my monthly recap. But then I remembered I didn't play with them, but I taught new gamers at my kids' school at TK. So 4 to 5-year-olds, I brought some board games to play with them and have like a mini board game day. Not a day, it was like an hour, but I brought a bunch of different games and I think the most successful one might have been First Orchard. So that's a game from Haba that's for 2-year-olds. I think I have an overview video of that one too, but basically you're rolling a die. It's a colored die. It has colors on it or a basket or a raven and there's different colored fruits. So if you roll a color, you take that color fruit and put it in the basket. And you're trying to harvest all the fruit. And if you roll the raven moves a step. It's a cooperative. You're trying to harvest all the fruit before the raven goes all the way to the end. And if you roll the wild basket die, then you get to pick any color fruit. So it's very simple, but it teaches kids to learn how to play games, basically like taking turns, rolling a die, stuff like that. And I think it's because it's cooperative that helped also. Like it was simple enough that everyone was understanding the rules. I didn't actually play it with them, and I don't think I actually taught it. I gave it to the teacher and she like read the rules and figured it out. And I think my kids were teaching it too because I was teaching other games, but I think the kids liked that one a lot because it was cooperative and so they didn't have to have like one person winning over the other. And like I looked over and they were super excited when they were like got it all. So that seemed to be the most successful introductory board game for the class of 4 to 5-year-olds, First Orchard. All right, question 6 is what game do you want to get off your shelf of shame in the second half of the year? And for me, that is City of Six Moons. This is a rule discovery game. It's a board game designed by Amabel Holland. It's actually like discovered by Amabel Holland because the premise is that it's an alien board game. So like there's components and there's a rule book, but it's all written in an alien language that we don't know and we'll never know. And so like you're trying to figure out the rules just by looking at the rule book and the components. So it's kind of like you're an archaeologist or something figuring stuff out. And so I like lots of puzzle games, puzzle video games and stuff where you're figuring things out like that. And so I got this last November and I've been wanting to stream it on Twitch and then for my Ambi Puzzles channel because it goes with puzzle games, but I haven't opened it yet. So yeah, I should do that at some point. The thing is like I need to get the overhead camera set up and stuff, and so that takes some time and I need to figure out a time to stream it, but I'm still excited about it and I've heard good things about it from people who have opened it and played it. But like you never know if you're right. So that I'm kind of like anxious about that, but I think it would be cool just trying to figure out the rules to City of Six Moons. Question 7 is which game from 10 plus years ago did you discover this year? And I think there's only one game that I played this year that was 10 or more years old, and that is Marrakesh from 2007. This was a abstractish area control game with rugs that I played at Dice Tower West. Amanda Panda actually introduced it to Crystal and me and Toby. And so this is a game where like you roll a die and you move. So like I think at the beginning of your turn, you have to turn your character to be facing a direction, and then you roll the die and move that many spaces. And the space you land on, if there's a colored rug on it, then you have to pay that person, the person who's that color, coins equal to the area of the rug. So like orthogonally adjacent areas make a larger rug area. But then you also place a rug next to where you landed. So as you're like playing, you'll be trying to place rugs so that you make a large area of rug, but then other people will be placing rugs to cut off your areas or like place over so you don't have as big of an area. So it's very cutthroat, and like I don't really like area control games, but it didn't feel too bad for that. It's not one that I like really like a lot, but I enjoyed the play, and it's like a more abstract area control type game. All right, and then question 8, which is the last official question, is which anticipated releases are you most excited about for the second half of the year? For me, I forgot. I haven't been keeping up with the releases, but I do have a want to play list, and so I looked at those and which games are coming out in 2025 that are still on my want to play list. Also, I added a new one because Dice Tower East just happened, and my friend was there on Facebook, posted a photo of some of the games they played, and so I saw one of the games she had posted, one of the pictures looked like a cool deduction game, and so but she posted no comment on there. But someone else asked, what's the name of this game? So I looked at the comments and she said, it's called Codicus. And she said that they loved it and they're buying it or something. So I'm like, okay, this is one that I'm excited about and want to play because I love deduction games. And I always put deduction games on my want to play list. But other games on my want to play list are Boba Kiki is also on my want to play list. This is designed by Jonathan Schaffer, who we had as a guest on the podcast. He's made a lot of escape room game holiday hijinks, like 18 card escape room games. And Boba Kiki is a party game centered around the idea that if Boba and Kiki are both nonsense words, but if you ask which one is sharp and which one's round, Boba sounds round and Kiki sounds sharp. So it's a party game with a bunch of different nonsense words and you're trying to match them to pictures, I think. So that sounds kind of neat. Also, Flickering Stars is a dexterity game by Matt Leacock that's coming out this year. I had actually played the prototype of this a long time ago. I'm pretty sure it was this because it sounds like that game. But in 2017, I think, at a convention, we played this prototype. It was a team flicking game where you're flicking spaceships around. And then I saw Flickering Stars as a team flicking game with spaceships. And I'm like, ooh, I think that's the game. And I remember having a lot of fun with the prototype. So I'm excited for Flickering Stars. And then the last one that I'm really excited about is Severton, which is a cooperative game designed by Vlada Chvátil, my favorite designer, or one of my favorites, I think. I don't know, but he hasn't had a game in a while. I like some cooperative games too, and I don't really know much about it other than it's designed by Vlada, and so I was like, ooh, a new Vlada game, I want to play it. So yeah, I'm excited for those. All right, now we're on to the bonus question, which is special for this video because the bonus question is, what's your personal favorite video that you've posted to this channel? For the podcast, we answered what's your favorite podcast episode, so you can go listen to that for my favorite podcast episode. But for my personal favorite video, I think it might be my 5 free puzzle books that you can print and play, or 5 great puzzle books that you can print and play for free, that one. I made a list of 5 and some more puzzle books that I've really enjoyed. The reason that's my favorite, I like doing puzzle books and stuff, like free puzzle books that I can print, but also because of that video, the designer of Locke, who I had mentioned in the video, he posted in a couple of Discords that I'm in, a list of a bunch of puzzle books. So he started compiling a list of all of these. Well, most of them I had already heard of, but he's been updating it, and so just recently he updated it with a few more that are new, and I'm like, ooh, so I'll have more puzzle books to print out and try to play. So yeah, that was my ulterior motive for making that video, is to get people to tell me about more puzzle books that I can print out, because I want more to just be able to do, not on the computer, but on paper. I have an honorable mention to how I print and play button shy games, because that's the more board game related video that I played, because the puzzle book one it's kind of board game adjacent, but not super board game. But I did like doing my how I print and play button shy games. I've been doing print and play games for a while, and videos about free print and play games, but I'm a new person, relatively new to print and play, and I'm not getting super deep into the hobby. And recently, or last year, a couple years ago, figured out how to print cards well, and so I got more comfortable with printing cards, and so I wanted to have a little beginner tutorial kind of showing the process and some things that I some questions I had. And a lot of people actually were helped out by one of the main questions or things that I figured out in my process of how to cut the cards, because they have the grid lines on the outside, they have cut lines, guidelines, but they don't go all the way through the cards. And when I first started, I had no idea how to do it, but then I figured out you don't cut all the way through. And so a bunch of people commented on my video oh, that's how you do the guidelines, that's great. So that was great that I was able to help people learn how to cut with guidelines. So yeah, I cheated and had 2 favorites. But yes, that was it for the questions for the Midyear Board Games tag. Thank you again, Rolling Reggie, for tagging us as a podcast. And I cheated and also did a video. I don't usually like tagging people for these things because I'll just forget someone, or everyone's probably already tagged, but if you want to answer the questions, then you can answer them in the comments below, or you can make a video anywhere. You can also answer them in the original Rolling Reggie's video. But yeah, feel free to have fun thinking of your answers to the questions, because it's fun just looking back on the year, especially especially if you log plays, you can look back and actually be able to answer, oh, how many games have I played this year? When have I played the most? Things like that. But even if you don't log plays, you might have an idea. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe for more. Hope you had a good first half of the year in board games, and hope you continue to have a good rest of the 2025 in board games. Thanks for watching Board Game Blitz. Bye!